Eurogenç TV interaktif içerikleriyle her an elinizin altında. Akıllı telefonunuzdan veya tabletinizden Eurogenç TV aplikasyonunu indirin, izlemeye başlayın.
Welcome all to this special program, Let's Talk Palestine. Before we begin, I'd like just to break some news that 50 Turkish Cypriots from Palestine, Palestinians with Turkish Cypriot heritage, have been now taken into Egypt and will be flying probably to Istanbul first and then heading to the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus to be reunited with their family members. This program tonight will look at the history, the links we have between Palestine and Cyprus as a whole, and the Turkish Cypriot and Palestinian links, our family connections, our cultural heritage ties. I'm pleased to have special guests with me today, Ertan from Turkish Cypriots Against Genocide in Palestine. I will also have Erim Metto, dear friend who's been campaigning against the war in marches in London. I have from Kibris worldwide, Osman. And I also have from TCCUK, Halil Ibrahim Shevket. Welcome to you all.
Thanks for
Nice to
having
have
us.
you all here.
Hello.
I'd like just to start with our connection really with the Palestinians, because we have a very deep rooted connection that goes back over a century or maybe even more. Cyprus, along with Palestine and the rest of the Levant and the rest of the Middle East, as you all know, was part of the Ottoman Empire. Cyprus was ruled by the Ottomans for some 300 years. Palestine itself was ruled over by the Ottomans for over 400 years. And during that time, the people of the empire, the subjects of the empire, were divided in two systems, the millet system. So all the Muslims of the empire were one community, and the Gayr Muslim, the non-Muslims, were separated by those who were from the Jewish community and those who were from the Christian community. So during the Ottoman times, and especially right to the end, we had lots of people, merchants coming from Palestine, from Lebanon, from what today is Jordan and Egypt, coming to Cyprus, trading and commercing, and also marrying into Turkish Cypriots. From the 1920s to the 1940s, we have an estimate of 4,000 Turkish Cypriot women being married off and leaving to go to Palestine to begin a new family, a new life. Today, throughout the occupied areas of Palestine, even in the state of Israel, in Haifa and Tel Aviv, we have lots of people that can trace their heritage back to their grandmothers and great-grandmothers who went there as brides. Many of these people, many of these families, had kept in touch with their families in Cyprus, but unfortunately in 1948, with the creation of Israel, many of these people were forced from their villages and towns and became refugees. Many fleeing to Jordan, many fleeing to the West Bank, Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, and some of them making the treacherous journey across the Mediterranean to Cyprus. Over 150 families in 1948 came with their children, separated from other loved ones who fled to other parts of the Middle East. Unfortunately, after 1948, when the families had immigrated and were forced exile into Jordan and Lebanon, many losing their identification, their passports, Letters were not sent, and families for a long time lost contact with one another. It was only after the 1974, the peace operation in Cyprus, when the Turkish Cypriots founded their own state in the north, that families began to build those ties today. And many Palestinians of Turkish Cypriot origin and Cypriot origin have gone back to Cyprus and have gained citizenship, both from the Republic of Cyprus in the south, but most of them Turkish Cypriots in the north. Today in Gaza, we have a tremendous amount of people that can trace their heritage back to Cyprus. This is why it's so important to us as a community that we do our utmost best to reach out to these people in these days where there's so much suffering. And we have been all calling for a ceasefire so the people can get back to their normal lives and try to live a normal life in Gaza. And Gaza, as we know, is one of the highest densely populated areas in the whole world, where 2.5 million people live in a very small strip of land. We know that there's no electricity there at the moment, no water supplies, there's no fuel going into the country, and the international aid is just a trickle that enters there. Over the past few weeks, we've seen mass demonstrations all over the world from people from different backgrounds, people from different religions and races coming together, calling on our governments to impose a ceasefire, to persuade Israel for a ceasefire so some peace and stability can come in the region. This is where I bring my friend Ertan from Turkish Cypriots Against Genocide tonight. Thanks for coming, Ertan.
Thanks for having me, Hoja.
It's a pleasure. Can you just tell us a little bit about your work you've been doing and your kind of awareness you've been on some of these demonstrations? You've got a Facebook page, and we've got lots of people commenting and making comments on this page. People really upset at the moment with the scenes they're seeing that are coming live through our TV screens and our social media platforms. Can you just tell us a little bit about why you thought this was important?
Well, just to give you a bit of background, about 2 weeks ago, actually, in the midst of the Israeli airstrikes on Gaza, I came up with the idea to start a platform on Facebook called Turkish Cypriots Against Genocide in Gaza. And the reason why I came up with this idea is because as somebody who's been following what's been happening there, the massacres, I noticed that there were already a lot of Turkish Cypriots in the British community who were already attending these protests, be they the big ones that have been organized in central London or smaller ones organized more locally in areas such as Hackney and Haringey. So already there are a lot of Turkish Cypriots going. Now, me personally, I first started going to pro-Palestinian marches around 18 years ago when I myself was a teenager. And I would argue that I was probably the first Turkish Cypriot, at least in London, to open a North Cyprus flag at a pro-Palestinian march back in 2010. And that was after the Israeli Navy attacked a aid ship going towards Gaza from Turkey, believe it or not, called the Mavi Marmara. They attacked the ship in international waters and killed 10 Turkish citizens, and a number of people from different parts of the world were taken hostage to Israel and then later released. So I attended that march back in 2010, and back then I might have been the only one to take the initiative to bring a North Cyprus flag to a pro-Palestinian march. But I've noticed that over the years that's been increasing, just because I feel that as time goes on, especially the younger generation of Turkish Cypriots in this country, we're starting to see the parallels between our struggle as Turkish Cypriots for international recognition and the Palestinian struggle as well. Now, thankfully, we've not had to suffer as much as the Palestinians have, and that's, agree with it or not, that's mainly because of Turkey. Turkey, as a guarantor state, stepped in the Cyprus conflict in 1974 and ended the war there. So we've been living in a status quo, frozen conflict, albeit a peaceful one, since 1974. We've been lucky enough to be able to live like that, but unfortunately, the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, especially, have been under international blockade for a number of years now, and this has been enforced by Israel, blocking them from land and sea and air. So nothing really gets in or out of Gaza except with Israel's permission. And they've been living like this for a very long time now. And every now and again, every 2-3 years, Israel goes in there for whatever reason they use to justify their actions. And they go in and they commit a whole lot of airstrikes and kill a whole lot of people. And it's just on repeat every 2 or 3 years. And every 2 or 3 years, we see the same thing. People coming out saying never again, this is the last straw, end the blockade on Gaza, free Palestine now. We've heard all of the slogans, but for some reason, this time round, there's a different feeling in the air. I think really, well and truly, there is a sense that this actually will be the last time, because people have, I think, awoken from their slumber. And by people, I mean not just Palestinians or not just Muslims, not just Turkish Cypriots. I mean, people all over the world are now seeing, largely thanks to social media, with their own eyes, the atrocities that are being committed in Gaza against innocent Palestinian people, against men, against women, against children, elderly, even newborn babies or unborn babies are not safe in Gaza right now. Israel have been bombing labor wards. Now, I've seen some very nasty things, having worked as a journalist for 10 years. I've seen images that won't necessarily be released to the public because they're often deemed to be too graphic. Now, for me, I saw a video where there were a bunch of newborn babies in Gaza, half of them prematurely born because their parents were killed or their mother were killed in an airstrike on a labor ward. So these babies have been born prematurely, and there's nowhere to put them because Israel's cut off the fuel and the electricity to these hospitals, and there's no incubators for these babies. And a lot of these babies are going to die either from starvation or lack of care, or just, the poor conditions that they're being kept in. Already Gaza, keep in mind now, the Gaza Strip is about 1/3 of the size of Karpaz, with a population of 2.5 million people. Now, Israel's been telling people of Gaza in the north to flee to the south. Where are you going to flee? In such a small populated, crowded place, where are you possibly going to flee? There's no chance that a bomb will land anywhere on Gaza without killing tens, hundreds of Palestinians at once. And unfortunately, about 1/3 to half of these casualties are children, innocent children who've done nothing wrong to no one. And what Israel does to justify this is they say, oh, there was a Hamas commander hiding among civilians. Well, I'm sorry, but there is no justification for doing such a thing to an innocent population. If Hamas is the problem, then there are other ways to deal with that. And I'm pretty sure that if Hamas was hiding in populated Israeli cities, such as Tel Aviv or Haifa, I'm pretty sure Israel would not be bombing their own civilians indiscriminately just to kill 1 or 2 Hamas commanders. So what people have recognized is that what's taking place in Gaza now is not a war. It's not a conflict. This is a genocide. There's no two ways about it. There's no second guessing it. This is a genocide designed to uproot Palestinian people from their homes in Gaza permanently and to change the demographics and the ethnic makeup of the Gaza Strip. And that's why I went with the name Turkish Cypriots Against Genocide in Gaza. And I've had a lot of people question me about this choice of title. And that's because if you can't see that what's happening in Gaza is a genocide, then you really have no business joining or supporting our group, because you're of no use to us. You're only going to cause division and conflict within our group. So if you cannot admit to yourself that what's happening in Gaza is a genocide, then quite frankly, this group is not for you. Now, I've also had people take issue with the fact that I'm targeting my group just at Turkish Cypriots. Now, the people in my group are not all Turkish Cypriots. They don't have to be. And there are plenty of other groups, for people from other parts of the world that, members of my group or anyone else can join. But my group has been set up to target Turkish Cypriots and get them involved in what's going on, because they can see the similarities between their struggle and the Palestinian struggle. And as Hüseyin Hoca mentioned in his introduction, we have a long shared history with the Palestinian people, and that's unique, I think, to us. So anyone can join our group. You don't have to be a Turkish Cypriot, but just keep in mind that the group is made for Turkish Cypriots. And anyone who is a Turkish Cypriot in my group, if they see a group, for example, called, I don't know, Mongolians against genocide in Gaza, or Ethiopians against genocide in Gaza, and they identify as such and they feel comfortable to join those groups, they're completely free to do so. So that's why I've chose the name Turkish Cypriots against genocide in Gaza. And also there are some people that will bring up the fact that these atrocities aren't just happening in Gaza. Unfortunately, they're happening to other people in other parts of the world, such as the Uyghurs in East Turkestan, the Rohingya in Myanmar. There are many other conflicts, many other massacres that are taking place. Now, I've chosen to focus on Gaza. I've done other work, other types of work for Uyghurs before, but this is the hot topic right now, and this is how I feel I can make myself useful as a Turkish Cypriot who supports the Palestinian cause. So I've gone and made this group. What's beautiful about this group is that it doesn't have a hierarchy. I don't consider myself the leader of the group. Maybe I'm the one who initiated it. I run the admin for the group on Facebook, but I'm not the leader. So, I personally cannot attend every single protest. And, who can really? But what's great about this group is that Turkish Cypriots who want to discuss Gaza among themselves have a healthy platform to do so in a healthy way. And, let's say, for example, you yourself, Hüseyin Hoca, you're going to a march in Hackney. You can write in the group, oh, I'm going to a march in Hackney, who wants to come? And whoever wants to come can join you. If someone's in South London and there's a march going down there, let's say Erim says he wants to go to a march in Croydon, anyone who's in the area in Croydon can go there, or anyone who wants to come to central London, they can organize themselves. It's just a platform for Turkish Cypriots to discuss this among themselves, and hopefully it will get those who are already going to marches to come together. And maybe there are some people who want to go to the marches, but they're a bit shy because they don't know anyone. When they see other Turkish Cypriots going, they might feel inclined to start going themselves. And I do encourage Turkish Cypriots who do go to the marches to bring their North Cyprus flags specifically, because we want to show our solidarity as Turkish Cypriots with the people of Gaza. And at the same time, it's a great lobbying opportunity as well, as selfish as that might sound. Because what happens is when people see the North Cyprus flag at these protests, they stop and they ask, what is this flag? And that's our chance to get in there and say, well, this is the flag of the Turkish Cypriots. And you get to explain to people who the Turkish Cypriots are. So the same way that we show solidarity to them in this situation, perhaps one day a situation might arise where we will need that solidarity from them as well. So it's a good way to kind of build bridges with, other similar communities to ourselves. So that in a nutshell is the reason why I started the group. And if anyone wants to look it up, we're on Facebook. It's called Turkish Cypriots Against Genocide in Gaza.
Thank you for sharing. And before I go to Erim, to him about his work he's been doing and his call for awareness and the marches that he's been on, we're going to just play a small tribute to those Cypriot Palestinians, a very short video that depicts our links with Palestine and the Palestinian people. very, very emotional to watch that, and makes us think that we have a diaspora Turkish Cypriot community living only some 100 kilometers away from the shores of Cyprus, what we know so little about. Everybody in Cyprus who lives in Cyprus knows that there's hundreds of thousands of Turkish Cypriots or Greek Cypriots in the UK, in Australia, and in Turkey. But the Cypriots of Palestine are probably the most less known of the diaspora. And that brings to question that, did we fail as a community to reach out to these people? One, I can't mention their name because they've asked me not to mention their name. A lady who's probably in her 80s or late 70s at the moment, she left Palestine in 1948, boarding a ship to Cyprus with her family members, and witnessed many people drowning in the Mediterranean, fleeing from their homeland, never to return back, leaving their orange groves, leaving their ancestral land. And to imagine that this is the same Mediterranean that drowned so many people's dreams. How many people do we see fleeing from conflicts from Syria? Those terrible pictures of those kids washed on the shores of Greece and Turkey. And it just brings to light that, you know, we do live in a very unjust and not very fair world. And no matter what you are, who you are, we should really be there for people that are oppressed. I've always said, you know, I have nothing against the marches. I think marching to bring ceasefires in Gaza is a great thing if it's done sensibly. But, you know, there's so much suffering in Yemen, in Ukraine, and we should always be a voice for all the oppressed people all over the world, no matter what religion they come from. Before I go to Erim, I just want to share a few things that this is not a Judaic Islamic war. We need to understand that. Many Jewish historians and rabbis will tell you that, you know, the Jews lived always better in Muslim countries than they ever lived in the Christian Europe. We need to remember that when the Crusades took place by the Catholic world of Europe, Jews and Muslims were slaughtered together, and so Orthodox Christians in Palestine. When the Spanish Inquisition took place and Muslims were put to the stake, killed, converted, the Jewish population fled to the Ottoman provinces. Sultan Bayezid of Istanbul at the time sent a fleet and took the Sephardic Jews and brought them to safety, sending them to Morocco, Tunisia, Libya, Albania, Greece, Salonika, Istanbul, even Palestine. People returned to Palestine. Even in those times, we had excellent relationships, and this goes throughout the centuries. So this needs to be very, very clear that this conflict is not about Judaism and Islam, because history has proved to us that Jews and Christians and Muslims in the Middle East have lived side by side, worshipped side by side for centuries and centuries. I just want to share that. Thank you. Erim, lovely to have you on the show.
Thank you, Hoja, for inviting me. I think it's important to recognise that this conflict, this genocide that's occurring at the moment, is being. It's hard to say, but the fact is that it's a humanitarian disaster that's affecting everyone throughout the world, because at the end of the day, this is people that are in their own lands that are being slaughtered day in, day out. And it's important to say that severely, because there's nothing else which can be attributed to so many children and so many young people being killed on a daily basis. I think the count now is that every 10 minutes a child dies because they've been bombed. Some don't even recognize that. Some don't even see their first birthday. Some don't. They don't see what's happening around them. They're stuck in this small portion of land which they call their home because they can't go anywhere else, but yet they're being bombed. They're being told to go to certain places. They're being bombed. Ambulances are being bombed. And the information that's going around on media sites, which is controlled by the Israeli press, in effect, through their media lobbying is all biased towards the fact that the atrocities have been committed against the Israelis, which is not fact, which is not fact at all. I think that the important thing around the marches that are occurring, they are changing mindsets of people. They are putting pressure on politicians. The politicians I'm speaking to, you're seeing there is a change in what's being said 2 to 3 weeks ago compared to what's being said now. And the important thing is that if we don't have a ceasefire, we will continue to lose 200 young people a day, young children. This is why I think it's important that we all vocalize in the way that we can. Some of us can speak to politicians, some of us can let people know about what's happening. Some people can attend marches. The bigger the marches, the more substantive it seems to the world, and sees how much pressure and how much will there is for the Palestinian people, and to stop this disaster that's occurring in front of our eyes on a daily basis. When you're hearing that ambulances are being bombed with people in them, when people have been asked to go to safe havens, refugee camps, and those are being bombed, when you're asking people to move from one location and the roads are being bombed, this is not humanity in any shape or form. This is not a democratic government that's bombing individuals. This is a humanitarian disaster, and we are human beings. We need to make our presence be felt. And I'm proud to say that people that I've seen in the marches that go in, week out, are from all segments of the community. There's people from the Jewish community, there's people from the various African communities, from the Turkish community, from the British community, from all walks of life, all political persuasions, Labour, Conservative, everything. And what's happening at the moment is our politicians are failing us in a big way. And we need to exalt our power as individuals who have voting rights and who have need to hold these people accountable for what's happening. Because I said to you, every day that goes by that this is allowed to happen, lives are being lost, innocent lives are being lost, and I grieve every day when I see these young children, some not even able to reach their first birthday, their lives being taken. And we all seen the images and we've all seen the facts that are out there. So I think all in our own way, we need to exalt power that we have as individuals with a voice and saying, this is not right. This is not in our name. This needs to stop. And what we're asking for is a ceasefire. After that, negotiations can happen around how we move forward. But the very, very important aspect is that this needs to stop today. It should have stopped yesterday, but every day it goes by, more lives are being lost. Yeah, I mean, that's in a nutshell what the situation is. But we all have a power there. We all have a voice, and everyone uses it in their own way. So I know, like Halil was putting out products that will bring attention to the Palestinian issue. I know that this platform, for example, that's now providing a way for us to speak about the issue and informing individuals what we feel about it and what we've seen firsthand, is going to maybe hit 100, 200, 300 people. So it keeps them informed. It allows people who are feeding back to us to say to us what they want to hear about, what they want to know about, and we can feed back to that. The site that's been set up is also important because it allows people to know where these protests are, how they can have an effect, and everyone can have an effect in their own way. So we all do have the power. Don't think that you can just sit there and watch it and you can't do nothing. You do have the power to influence change, to influence people, to influence the people that we elected to govern the UK, our own individual MPs, our own politicians, to remain accountable for what they're doing. And when the elections come, remember this and remember who we elect and who stood up for the rights of humanity.
Erim, you was one of the first persons from our community, because I do, many people in the community look up to you for all the amazing work you do. You was one of the first persons I saw to condemn the violence on the 7th of October.
Yes,
in the state of Israel.
Yeah, that's humanity as well. So like I said, it's a humanitarian disaster. So individuals that were killed on the 7th of October, be it Jewish, be it whoever it is, that needs to be condemned because that was innocent life being taken as well. But the fact is that this is continuing. So on the 7th of October, that happened on the 8th of October, Palestinians were killed right the way to now, which is literally 5-6 weeks, during that period, people have been killed.
Yeah, and
there's no answer to it.
I see the same as you do, that on the 7th of October, those people that witnessed, those people that lived in the state of Israel, of course they're going to be shocked, and there's going to be anger, and there's going to be hate, and there's going to be want for vengeance. But we also understand that when people of the diaspora and other communities see what's happening in Palestine today, and today the figures are 13,000 people. Today's day, 13,000 people have been killed. You know, a large majority of those are women and children, have nothing to do with Hamas.
Yeah, and saying that as well, Hussein, is that 6,000 are missing. On top of that, there's around 30,000 which are injured, which are injuries which are going to be life-changing for the majority of those individuals. The majority of those people who suffer the injuries are young people. Again, over 50%, I think, have been ascertained as being the injuries that affect young people. So it's a vast, and you're thinking about these young people who have lost their parents now have nowhere to go. They have no. Fortunately, the community is strong and community will support them, but these have been left as orphans with no guidance from their parents. And what we're doing, or what's happening, is that you're breeding resentment from one community to another by bombing these individuals. And when we talk about what happened on the 7th, and then Israel's right to retaliate, which they do have a right to kind of take out Hamas, you don't bomb every building that's in the center, everything around where you feel that Hamas is. And I think that it worked out that I don't know how many Hamas individuals have been captured or killed compared to how many innocent individuals, which are classified as collateral damage, have been killed, is so vast. I don't think it's ever been this big in any conflict that's occurred throughout history. If that makes sense.
There needs to be safe places, don't they?
There needs to be safe places.
Of course, we're all calling for a ceasefire. Everybody with any empathy in their heart wants a ceasefire. But there is no safe place at the moment.
No, there isn't.
United Nations.
And so you're saying that we're all calling for a ceasefire. But what's not happening is the politicians not implementing what individuals want to happen. You know, the individuals want a ceasefire. People who follow humanity, people who have a heart, the vast majority of the world wants a ceasefire. But it's not happening because the politicians are, for some reason, whatever you want to say, are not enacting what the people want.
I just want to remind our viewers as well that the current government of Israel today is within its history of 75 years is it's the most far right government you can have. It's the most extreme Israeli right wing government, and the voices from the left, because I read the Haaretz newspaper every day. It's I'm a subscriber. I like it. It's a very lefty newspaper, but even those voices have been suppressed. And while everybody's focused on Gaza, we know that some terrible things are happening in the West Bank.
Yeah,
the situation in the West Bank at the moment is really, really tense. You know, it's October, November. People usually go olive picking. Many Palestinians are forbidden to go to their olive groves. People have been killed. Settler violence has reached a level like never before, and the Israeli government and the Israeli army are allowing settlers to go rampaging. There needs to be someone needs to stand up now and say this is enough is enough. That this needs to stop, because if the settler violence continues, there's no chance of any peace either in a united democratic Israel where everybody, no matter what your religion is, can live side by side. It's not going to happen. Or a two-state solution, which is dying by the day because of this right-wing politicians on both sides as well. One last question to you, Erim. You've been on these marches. You've heard the voices. You've seen the diverse people that go there. Lots of people I know from the Jewish community, rabbis I speak to, and other community faith leaders have been on these marches, and they feel threatened as well, because they feel that, you know, they need to speak out, because during the Second World War, when the United Nations was created, it was created by never again. We're not going to allow Holocaust or the mass killing of innocent people again. Unfortunately, it's all over the place. What my fears is that there are people that are jumping on this. For many years, for the last 5 or 6 years, I've been looking at this situation in India, which is one of the largest democracies in the world, which has a very, very extreme far-right government called the BJP. And, you know, there's been open by BJP ministers looking at the events in Gaza, even calling upon the extreme elements in Israel, saying, we support you, death to the Gazans. And this is just, you know, there's many, many dictators and many, many countries where this could explode and become another genocide in another country.
Yeah.
Because even a lot of American statesmen saying, like, India is on the verge of a genocide against its minorities. And we're seeing some of the rhetoric coming out of these far-right ministers in India and other countries as well.
Yeah.
And that's why it's really important that we do have these demonstrations.
No,
we do have a voice to say, you know, no to genocide wherever it may be in the world. And it was good to see some of your photographs of, you know, people from the Jewish community, people from other communities coming together. Thank you, Erim. Would you like to add anything else on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important what you said. I think that what I've seen as the main fundamental aspect of these marches is that all communities are together to support humanity. And that's the important thing. And the Jewish community have been very, very vocal that this is not in their name. So individuals being slaughtered, young, particularly the young and people who have got no defense against what's coming to them, is out of order. It's totally against the fundamentals and what lots of individuals feel in the world. And I've seen Somalian flags, I've seen Turkish flags, I've seen all the flags in the world there. But the fundamental thing is they're all supporting the proposals for a ceasefire. And it's important to say that the big march that occurred a couple of weeks ago, which had 1 million people in attendance, there was something like 12 arrests. So you think about something like 12 to 14 arrests in a march that had 1 million people. You get more arrests in a minor football game than you do there. The main arrest that happened was the people who were supporting the racist rhetoric which was occurring within the communities. So I think it's important to say that this is a very peaceful way of us as a community letting the government know that we're not in agreement with their stance on humanity and how they're supporting the platform of individuals being killed. And I think when we mentioned the fact that this is a platform that's given other countries to say that this is how the world now sees how we deal with issues, then you are going to get far more genocides and far more genocide's too large word to use, but far more actions against minority communities in other countries. Because they say Israel's done it. The USA have supported Israel. UK have supported Israel. But you know, it does. One thing that warms me on my heart is this is the first time that I've seen substantive demonstrations happen, which has been supported by every individual that you can imagine throughout the world and been condemned by the people, but endorsed by the governments, which is quite sad. But we have the power to change that. So we have to use that power to change the rhetoric and change the direction of what's happening in Gaza.
Thank you, Erim. Thank you so much for your views and your got lovely Emine on the show from Kibris Worldwide. I sometimes wonder how you ever get the time to do it, to post so much stuff on the social media platforms. Emine, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming this evening. It's good to have you on. You need to unmute yourself.
Myself and Halil, basically we're here as, obviously we run, well, the largest community groups on social media platform. These platforms are really, really important when things like this, when atrocities like this are happening in the world. Obviously people can share information like Ertan has said, like Erim has said. We can impart information, we can, you know, give facts and news, we can share, you know, where to donate and where to help. This is, like Erim has said, and like you said, Hoja, for us, and obviously speaking on behalf of TCCUK, this for us is a humanitarian disaster. This is not a political issue for us. This is a people issue. This is a human being issue when, unfortunately, in 2023, we are seeing what we are seeing on our TV screens and on the news platforms, on the social media platforms, this is what we are seeing, and it's heartbreaking for all of us to see. Yeah. What we want to make clear on our social media platforms is we will always support, as we always have done, we will support everyone. If there's anything we can do to help, we will do that. What we will not allow is when a post is put up about what is going on in Palestine or a march, if there are any, be it anti-Semitic, be it anti-Muslim, or any racist comment whatsoever, that person's comment will be removed, and that person will also be blocked and removed from all groups across all our platforms. We're going to say it again, this is a humanitarian disaster. There is no other way we can say it. It saddens us all that we're having to see this. Like Erim has said, these families, these kids are dying every minute that we're sitting here. So we can use our social media platforms as a positive, and we can share information, and we can share where marches are, or, you know, how people can donate. As you know, we concentrate heavily, especially in Kibris Worldwide, along with Halil on TCCUK, on charities. Tomorrow being Charity Tuesday, which is one of the things that, you know, we focus on a lot. We need to make everyone aware when obviously we all want to do something to help, okay? It's not feasible perhaps for everyone to go and protest. You might not live near where there is one, or you may be of ill health, or, you know, not everyone can go on a march, okay? But there are things we can do. Excuse me. One of the things that won't cost you any money, because we know that, again, you know, we're in a cost of living crisis, let's be real. And, you know, there are lots of people that are in desperate need in this country and in all countries around the world. When you see a post on one of our platforms, if you press like on that post, you are in turn raising awareness. If you want to share that post, okay, on your personal pages, you are in turn raising awareness. So that all helps. Like I've said, not everyone is able to give money or go on a march or do something what they feel is proactive. This is proactive. If you share that post, you like that post, write a comment, you are again raising awareness to what is going on to these people in this world currently. In terms of donations, TCCUK and Kibris Worldwide, and obviously the people we have here now, we want to make something really clear so everyone is aware. This week and last week, we did share on our platforms about people that have been setting up GoFundMe pages or Just Giving pages in respect of Palestine and Gaza, okay? Right, so Just GoFundMe and GoFundMe pages have been closing down pages that people have set up, obviously to raise money to send to Gaza. They have been closing these pages down, taking administration fee and returning the money. So please, we are begging, imploring, advising you, as much as we all want to help, don't set up your own pages or your own GoFundMe or Just Giving, because that money's not going to get there. Right. We would advise, okay, and there's links going at the bottom of your screens. You can all see them now. I have obviously given links to Euro Against TV. They are on the bottom of all your screens now. And again, tomorrow, as always, I will share the links to everywhere. But obviously, we have amazing charities. I mean, Hoja's sitting there, so I better say your one first. We've got Cyprus Islamic Association. Obviously, they have got their Gaza Emergency Aid, Palestine Aid. Please click on that link and donate. The money will go directly there. The Islamic Relief Organisation, bona fide links. Please click on there. We have obviously massive organisations that we all know and are aware of, UNICEF, which help all, whenever there's anything like this, they're always there. Click on that link, okay? We also have MAP, which they are sending medical supplies, okay? So, and Erim has advised us that, he knows that stuff has got there. So please click on that link. Also, there is another known charity, which one of our dear friends in our community, Nadira, works closely with. Okay, they are the Forgotten Women charity. They have people in Gaza right now. Aid is getting there right now. We've seen evidence of it. I would please implore you to click on these links If you can, even if you can give £1, it will make a difference to someone's life. But do not, I know as much as you want to help, don't set up your own pages because they're going to get shut down. In respect of getting shut down as well, for some reason, be it political, be it who knows, Meta have been shutting down or restricting people's Facebook and Instagram accounts when they are coming out as pro-Palestinian, okay? So please be aware of that as well, that some and really big accounts, like big famous people accounts, have been restricted because they are voicing their solidarity with the people of Palestine. Just because you, like I said at the beginning, just because you are showing your solidarity to the people of Palestine does not mean you're not showing your solidarity to the people of Israel or any other country that's got a disaster in the world. They are humanitarian disasters. It's about people. So we're all human beings and we should all support everyone all of the time. If anyone wants any more information, please contact myself or Halil at any time. Obviously, if you want us to share anything, please, anyone feel free to share anything on either of our groups. We will always, put it through. But again, we need to watch our language. We need to watch our behaviour. This is not, we're not a political, we're not political platforms either. Okay. Yes, we all had the conversation that people, that the politicians have made and are making the biggest mistakes. We can all see that. But by doing what we're doing, by going on these marches, by supporting these people, hopefully, please God, that we can all make a difference to what's going on in our own small ways.
Thank you, Emine. I also want to thank you for being very open about your rules, especially Kibris Worldwide and TCCUK, and also Cyprus Islamic Association. We don't allow any forms of anti-Semitic comments or anti-Islamophobic. It's not called for.
We have zero tolerance on racism, full stop. So if anyone makes any form of comment, as I've said, ourselves and TCCUK, you will be removed from all platforms and blocked from all platforms. It's not what we're about. Our community, the Turkish Cypriot community, which is why we're here doing what we're all doing, we are a caring community, yeah? We should be compassionate against everyone. We've said, we know what's been going on in Cyprus for years. We've all just been speaking about it, our history. Obviously, I was born in the UK. So I know my history from my family or from like you, Hoja. We've learned our history. But let's not repeat this history for our kids and our grandkids. So we all need to, be more accepting of people.
Thank you. And thank you for all the work you do every Tuesday and every day. But Tuesday, especially everyone who's watching, if you go on Kibris Worldwide, there's Charity Tuesday, lots and lots of organizations from humanitarian, from helping in Gaza, homeless people, from animal welfare, for cancer research, cancer patients. It's all there. Please go on to Charity Tuesday and look at the posts and try to help as much as you can. Got a very, very good friend here as well from TCCUK, one of the largest social media Turkish Cypriot platforms. Halil Ibrahim Shevket, lovely to have you on here today.
Thank you, Hoja, for having me on. I don't know where to start because obviously this whole thing has been a mess from the start. So first of all, thank you for having me here. I've been following this before everything has happened since October, because we could say this has been happening for a month plus 75 years. But looking into this, I've seen a lot of similarities with our Cypriot culture, especially may this be our language, may this be our food, because I've seen that they do bamya, we do bamya, they call it bamya, especially with the textiles that they've done. We have our lefkara designs. They have their tatriz patterns. And this is the type of kind of research that I've been doing in order to get the merchandise or the products that I've been designing in order to raise money for your charity, and everything that has been sold from the products. All the profits go straight to your charity. So
Thank you so much.
there's a lot of symbols out there. As some people may know, Palestinians have their flag, which is red, white, black, and green. And if you look at these carefully, I'm wearing it, the scarf as well. They also have the scarf, and it has many meanings, this scarf. So as you can see on there, you will see the olive leaves, which is meant to be like symbolizing like the cultural significance. I can't get that out, to Palestinians, playing on a vital role in their economy. There's also like the fishnet, which is a symbol of collectivism or knotting or individuals coming together like a community. And also the bold line, which is to represent the trade routes across the historic Palestinians in order to obviously make money within their country. So I took this, but also took the colors of the flag and also another symbol that they had to use, because during a particular time, which I can check, was I think during the 80s, Israel banned them from using their flag.
That's right.
So in order to show their solidarity and bringing them together, they used the symbol of the watermelon, which was a very was one of their fruits of many things. They also have olives. They also have lemons and also carob, and very similar fruits and vegetables to Cyprus.
Oranges. Yeah.
Yeah. The watermelon is meant to be seen as a symbol of resistance and persistence during protests against Israeli occupation. And during the West Bank, they carried the fruit above their head as a symbol of what it means to be a Palestinian. So this is why I took those colors, made my own version of this, which people can purchase from my store. They can wear it as a bandana, a hairband, something on their bag. Like I said before, the profits from that will go to your charity. I've also taken the watermelon as a pixel art, and they can buy a mug for that. And at the moment, there is a hoodie that's coming out as well, which will have the watermelon symbol at the front. But just like I've done the We Can Exist for Turkish Cypriots, I've done exactly the same for Palestinians, where it says we exist, and also we exist in Arabic at the back, which has all been confirmed, and I've spelt it correctly and I've done it the right way around. So that will be in store soon so that you can order. And these can be ordered for children and for adults as well. On the topic of symbols and what Emine just mentioned about social media and also the marches that have also been happening. Obviously, certain people can't do these marches, and there's other ways of supporting Palestine. This may be boycotting particular products that are supporting and funding Israel. There's a huge list on Instagram that can be viewed and shared and with your other friends to see which ones you can boycott. Other ways of doing is, instead of using the Palestinian flag, to use the watermelon emoji, there's a new one recently, which is the red arrow facing downwards. So the background to this was before, when Palestinians were sharing videos in order to show where the target was, they used to do a red arrow within the video so that you could see where the tanks were hidden or where the snipers were hidden, so that people would know. This was then converted in order to show as a symbol within social media, and also taken from the flag as well, as there is a triangle within the flag as well. So if you want, instead of so that you don't get shadow banned or blocked, you can use the watermelon, you can use the arrow. Try and use terms that are using letters, numbers, and symbols so that they can't read the specific words, so you don't get blocked. I am one of the people that I've got shadow banned. It's only because I probably do 100 posts per day on stories. I think people have unfollowed me, but I don't care. Me and my wife have literally just constantly just sharing it, just to not only to be the voice of the people, of the journalists on the ground, and naming 4 of them all being under the age of 25, one of them being 17 years old, one of them being 25, the other one being 22 and 24. They're literally the voice of the Palestinians on the ground, the journalists who have left their families, their partners, to be there and to be the voice that these oppressed have been in. I will share their names within the chat, within the video after, just so that you can follow them. Make sure you follow them properly, because sometimes they do get shadow banned or either blocked, and you can add them onto your broadcast, which is a new thing on WhatsApp and Instagram, which is basically kind of like a report or kind of like an email, and they update you recently. There's also another one, which I'm just going to hold up, it's called Let's Talk Palestine. And basically every midnight they will update you with what's happening. So last night they said that there was they have now I don't use the word killed, I think they've been murdered, 13,000 Palestinians in Gaza, including 5,500 children. The death toll is fast approaching that of the 1948 Nakba, when 15,000 to 20,000 Palestinians were killed, the largest death toll in modern Palestinian history. So if you add these into your broadcast, make sure you get the notifications, just so you keep getting them updated. Make sure you share what they're doing, whether you're liking it, sharing it, even if it means you're just leaving a small comment or a watermelon emoji within their comment. That allows their post to go up. Just checking what else I have on my list to say. Think that's about it from me. But yeah, so what Erim was saying, Ertan and this is a human thing. This isn't anything to do about religion. This is anything to do about sexuality. This isn't anything to do about anything. This is children who don't even get their birth certificate. They're getting their death certificate.
Yeah.
They're pulling them underneath out to the rubbles. And I'm seeing my own kids. Every night I go and check them to see if they're breathing. And they're allowing this? You think this is acceptable? This is normal? It's okay to just wipe out just a nation? This is acceptable? The fact that there's videos that I've seen where the dad is holding his child that has died and he's reading the Quran to him. The mother doesn't want to get rid of the scrunchie that was on her daughter's hair. The mother that didn't want to wash her hands because it has her children's blood on her hand. And people are seeing this and it's not affecting them. All you need to do is share one post. Share it in your story so your friends see. Yes, you may be one person. That one person, how many people do you have in your friends list? Times that. It's not fair. Before they can take their breath, they're dead. I don't know why there's an emoji next to my head, but anyway.
Thanks for sharing that. It's very, I do follow you on Instagram, your personal Instagram page, and I see it, and it's powerful. It's very, very difficult because every life is precious, but in especially our faith is very, you're not allowed to kill innocent women and children, non-combatants. It's forbidden. And anyone with a heart. And I was in the beginning really quite upset with my community, because there are still certain people who, with that attitude, banane. What do you mean banane? You know, kusanane. These are our cousins, and even if they're not even related to us through our bloodline or through our religion, you know, not every Turkish Cypriot has affiliation with his religion. These are human beings. Remember that every child, every woman that dies is a human being, and you need to have a heart. You need to, you know, I can't. For days I've cried at home, like Halil. I've really cried and really found it really hard to watch, because I do watch Arabic news as well. I just don't watch the local BBC. And I've got friends and I've got relatives in Gaza, and I see, you know, I was distraught for about 10 days because I had no idea where they were. No idea. And some of them have lost loved ones. Lots of loved ones as well. And I find it really painful when I see a Western journalist questioning someone who says that I've lost 41 members in my family, saying, how can you have 41 cousins? Yes, we do. We have hundreds of cousins because we're big families. You know, we live in the Eastern Mediterranean. We have loads of aunts and cousins. We're extended families. So it doesn't shock me when someone says they've lost 41 members or 51 members. But there's nowhere safe for the people of Gaza. That's the problem. Israel has not made a safe area. And this is what I'm angry about. The far right in Israel, they really need to come to their sense. They can't drive people into the desert. A race and a religion that believes that God chose amongst them a prophet that delivered them from the wilderness, took them from bondage and brought them to the Holy Land. So no one should use religion. No religion says to bring people back into the desert and let them die in the desert. Egypt doesn't want them. Jordan doesn't want them. And they're not Egypt and Jordan's problems. They need to stay in their country. There needs to be a free Palestine. Settlements in the West Bank need to cease. America, the US, Europe. You know, I'm actually fed up of watching the news in Europe, because it wasn't the Palestinians that caused the Holocaust. It was a white European Christian Europe that had driven the Jews from one place to another place for 500, 600 years, that caused 6 million Jews to die in the worst atrocities in human history, in gas chambers. It wasn't the Muslims. It wasn't. Turkey and lots of Muslim countries saved their Jewish populations. You know, the Jews of Salonika were saved by their Muslim neighbors when the Greeks, Nazis, were handing over the Jews of Salonika to the Nazis to be taken to the Third Reich to be slaughtered. And most Jewish people, many Jewish people, show appreciation for those who saved them. And I've got so many accounts of that. So let's not make this into a religious war, but this is a war against an innocent people. Innocent people. If you want to go for Hamas, you make a safe area for all the Gazans, and then you go out for Hamas. But you cannot bomb hospitals. You cannot bomb school. You cannot bomb refugee camps. You cannot allow your settlers to run rampage throughout the West Bank, slaughtering women and children and abducting children, not allowing people to go to do their harvest. This is completely wrong. And this is why we're against any forms of genocide or any forms of aggression to any people, no matter what your religion is. I want to thank all our guests today, and we'll open it to the public if there's anybody wants to ask any questions to any of the guests or to myself here today. I just want to share a few things. So the Cyprus Islamic Association, we do lots of charity works all over the world. We've been working in Gaza for the last 5 years. I have a representative in Gaza. Unfortunately, my representative, my friend, he's also displaced at the moment. I haven't heard from him in the last 5 days now. And I pray with all my heart that him and his family, and he's lost multiple members of his family in Gaza City, multiple. We have a child. I have a child that we've taken with his mum and dad to Istanbul for treatment. His nan, his extended family, his siblings are in Nasser district of Gaza. They have no idea where the family, if the family is safe. You know, I'm thinking about this every single night and not even having sleep because of this. Thinking that kid wants to see every day he was seeing his sisters on a video call, and now there's no calls, there's no electricity. They don't even know if their kids are alive. You know, this is so difficult. People are suffering in so many different ways, and it's just, you know, you cannot even imagine what the horrors that these people are going through. Those people, you know, there's people in the West Bank, they've got relatives in Gaza, they don't know where they are. You know, the aid is not going inside to Gaza. Today I read a report that flour to make bread, the last bakeries have closed down. This is not humanity. And the United Nations have failed big time. Failed. And we have failed. The UK has failed as well for allowing this to continue. We need an immediate ceasefire, and we need peace in the region. Because with a peaceful Middle East, we'll have a peaceful world. But when there's conflict in the Middle East, there'll be conflict all over the world. Just want to take a few. Oh, so we've also raised £5,500 so far. Of this money, 1,500 has been sent to the family of Omar, people who are following his story, because his treatment had run out. His treatment had ended, and we had to plead. We had to plead with the hospital that he's staying in to keep him there, because where's he going to go? He can't go back to Gaza. Can't go back to. These families don't. They don't have the luxuries to book into a 5-star or 3-star hotel in Istanbul. So the hospital's been very kind enough to pay for 80% of the treatment for the next month, and we'll have to extend it every month until there is some sort of a safe passage for him to be reunited with his family. And our charity is looking after the rest. We're also working with a local charity called Cansuyu. They were very, very active in the Turkey Syria earthquake. Very trustworthy, very, very well known in Turkey. They have their own food kitchens in Gaza. We've sent them money. We've just sent them another 1,500 this week to serve hot foods to the thousands of displaced people. These kids they need from us. And please, those who keep on writing messages saying, can we collect clothes, and you know, let's be sensible here. Let's be sensible. Nothing can go inside to Gaza. Whatever we're sending, it's through agents and through humanitarian agents that are actually on the ground in Rafah and between Egypt and Sinai. And I want to thank every single person who have contributed. If there's anybody watching today and wants to ask a few questions, we'll be taking questions for the next 10-15 minutes, and then we'll be wrapping up our program. Thanks for you for watching.
Can I read a comment?
Yes, please, because I can't see any comments.
Okay, I've just seen this comment from Sev Gülhanım, and she just basically sums up what we've been saying. Okay, this is not a religious war. It's about humanity and injustices that our governments are allowing, which they have spoken up against, when it's about other countries and are not doing the same for the people of Palestine. I think that sums up obviously what we've all been saying. I think for some of us, and for me personally, where I live, it's a predominantly white British area. Okay, the ethnic minority, it's not a big population. When I moved here when I was 6 years old, we were the second non-white English family. From my friends who I've grown up with all of my life, the lack of I don't know if solidarity is the right word, or even just acknowledging what is happening.
Understanding.
Yeah, the understanding or acknowledging what is happening, or the conversation, because the conversation's not happening. Now, when it was other things like, you know, and quite rightly, I'm not saying one's better than the other or worse than the other, but for example, Ukraine, yeah. Everyone was on it, weren't they? That's what everyone was talking about. It doesn't matter where they were, who they were, but it's not the same. It's not the same, and this is what we're all trying to say. Doesn't matter where we're from, doesn't matter which country, what religion, what sexuality, whatever. Who cares? These are people. We should treat everyone the same. But for me, as a, you know, I'm British. Let's say, but obviously my ethnicity, I'm a Turkish Cypriot, and I'm a Turkish Cypriot, and I'm proud to be a Turkish Cypriot. I feel sad. I feel sad that people aren't, you know, getting involved or having that conversation. And yes, Erim, don't get me wrong, it's beautiful that we see all these people on these marches. It's absolutely amazing. But it's a minority of people, isn't it? If you know what I mean, that the same conversations aren't going on. So when we see comments of people in our communities that are making these comments, it does, you know, it does warm us that people are aware of you know, of what's going on. We've got lots of comments. There's another one from a lady called Aish Nafi. Sizlere de Allah ile versin. Listening to you all gives us all here. It gives us a true incentive to stand up for Palestine.
Thank you, Aisha. That's my uncle's daughter. And yes, thank you so much. She's been really on it every day. I've seen that she's making comments, and she's another one that sits by and just watches and thinks, where's this all going to end? And I think that's what is the end game? What will happen to Gaza? Because what I fear the most is there has been so much structural damage that how do these people start their life again?
Just one comment I want to read, Hoja. I don't know if you know this lady, so sorry. She's Palestinian herself.
Her
name is Layla Lay.
Okay.
And she's put various comments, obviously through the program she's been watching. She sadly has lost family, obviously, in this atrocity that's going on. And bless her, she's asking if there's any way she can help. Do what we've said, Layla. Click on those links if you can help financially. Then please donate through those bona fide links. I will share them on all platforms again tomorrow. Okay, they are on the screen now, and we've got them in the comments, but we will share them all of the time. Go on a march if you can, if you're near one. Join Ertan's group as well. The links are there. And obviously, if you see a post or if you want to share something, do it. But unfortunately, like Hoja said, we cannot, at the moment, there are no collection points for clothes or toys or anything of that nature. So the only way we can help is if we can financially. And that's what we all need to be doing. But Layla, Bashar Salson, we're sad to read that.
Condolences to everyone who's lost loved ones. I know lots of Turkish Cypriots who do have family there and have been, been contacting me. And that's another call I'm going to make out on this program today. I know there's might be someone not watching live, but someone will go back and watch this later on. And if you know of family that once went to Palestine, please inbox me, because I'm trying to collect as much information as I can. I've got some amazing stories of reunions. I've helped in the last 15 years of reuniting a lot of families, and it's one of the most beautiful things you can do. And I wish we could have done, I wish other Cypriots could have done this many, many years ago, because so many families have been reunited, but the actual siblings haven't been reunited. People have been reunited with their nephews and nieces and extended nephew and nieces, but they lost out with not finding contact with their own sisters and brothers. And, let's not have this separation anymore. These are our cousins, and if anything was happening to a Turkish Cypriot in Australia, we'd be really upset about it. If anything was happening to Turkish Cypriots in another part of the world, we'll be upset about it. These are our brothers and sisters. These are our cousins, our relatives, and we should be concerned. And we should be doing every effort we can to try to our governments to see reason to influence and and speak to those in Israel that we have a ceasefire and we have peace. If there's no more questions, I'm going to just take the last comments from our guests, and then we're going to close the program with a prayer, with a dua for everyone who's passed away, a dua for peace, inshallah. If there's no questions, I want to go to Ertan. What's your last words, Ertan?
Well, basically, Hojam, I just wanted to touch on a few points that people have made about how the BBC and other mainstream media outlets have been presenting this genocide in the West, right? Now it's a real shame that, as somebody who's paying for their TV license, to see the BBC doing Israel's public relations for them, because Israel clearly is not very good at doing it for themselves, and I feel very bad to be, forced into being part of the genocide that they're inflicting on the Palestinian people through my money, through my TV license payments, through my taxes. And I want to, one of the main things that upsets me about this conflict is the fact that I'm being forced to be part of it by my government. And I feel that we, especially here in Britain, where there's a strong movement and momentum for the Palestinian cause, we as Turkish Cypriots living here need to join that movement, and we need to make our voices heard as a community as well. And we do have pockets of influence, and particularly around London, where there is a decent amount of Turkish Cypriots who can write to their MPs and change their stances within Parliament. Chingford, for example, where Ian Duncan Smith has had good relations with Turkish Cypriots, despite the stance of his party. We as his constituents can, influence people like him to maybe take a stance in Parliament, even if it starts with just one MP. It makes all the difference. And obviously, with all of the media attention and the way it's been twisted in mainstream media, even sometimes the strongest of us who stand in solidarity with the Palestinians might even start questioning ourselves. We might even start thinking like, am I really on the right side of the spectrum here? Am I, we might even start questioning our religious beliefs if we're Muslims, are Muslims really terrorists? We start questioning ourselves. A lot of this happened after 9/11. It's happening again. Now, for those of you who have those questions, I just wanted to give two anecdotes from the Prophet Muhammad himself, from his life, hadiths that really stick with me in these situations, and about how he himself treated Jews in his lifetime. Now, the first example is when the funeral procession of a Jewish man was going past him, and he was sitting with his companions. And he all of a sudden stood up, and his companions asked him, why are you standing up, for this funeral procession? Don't you know that it's a Jewish man? And the Prophet Muhammad says, yes, I know it was a Jewish man, but is he not a human soul? Now, the Prophet Muhammad, was he a teacher of anti-Semitism, a man that would stand out of respect for a Jewish man's funeral? I don't think so. Another example is when he had a Jewish neighbor in Medina who didn't really like him very much. And the Jewish neighbor every day would come and throw his trash, his garbage, in front of the house, in front of the front door of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And then one day, all of a sudden, the Prophet Muhammad looked outside his door and he saw that there was no trash there. So all of a sudden he was like, okay, well, something must have happened to this Jewish neighbor of mine. So he actually went to knock on his door and check up on him. And he actually found that the Jewish neighbor was very sick and on his deathbed. And he actually went and visited his Jewish neighbor and wished him well. And when the Jewish neighbor said, how did you know I was sick? He said, well, I looked outside my door and I saw there was no garbage there. So that's how I knew that something must have been wrong. So do you understand the type of person that the Prophet Muhammad was? Do you understand the type of religion that he's left behind us? And we as Turkish Cypriots should be proud to inherit that religion from him and from his companions. We should be proud to have Qurans in our household on the top shelf. And we should every now and again maybe read it and restore confidence in ourselves, in our identity, and in our standing hand in hand with our Muslim brothers and sisters in Palestine. We shouldn't be ashamed of this. And even if you're not Muslim, you don't have to be Muslim to stand hand in hand with the Palestinian people. It's just about being human. And the Prophet Muhammad, before he was Muslim, he was a decent human being. Before he was a prophet, he was known as the trustworthy one. Al-Amin is in Arabic. So I really think that we should be confident in ourselves, and we should be confident in standing up for what we believe in, and confident in showing our humanity, because we have the best of teachers and the best of examples in humanity. And that's all I have to really say about that.
Thank you for sharing that, Ertan. I was going to use that hadith, the one about the funeral at the beginning of the show, just the excitement, I forgot. But I also want to share something. When the Quran was being revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, there's a verse that's very well known in the Quran that reads the following: O Muslim, Christians, Jews and Sabians, those who believe in God, those who believe in the hereafter, those who do good deeds to one another, for them there shall be no fear in death, for they shall have their reward with their Lord. And that's really, really important. And you know that we as a religion have nothing against the people of the book. If anything, they're the closest to us because of our heritage. We're both descendants of Abraham, the Arabs especially, and the Jews of the medieval, the historical Jews of the Middle East. They're actually first cousins. They're brothers between Isaac and Ismail. So that's thanks for sharing that. Erim, what's your last few words?
I mean, listening to all of you speak and all of us speak is that it's quite clear that we have an abundance of people who we've influenced within our community that move towards wanting a ceasefire, moving towards humanity for not just the Palestinian people that are suffering, but the whole world. What I want to reiterate is that we all have power in some shape or form, be it being able to go on a march, be able to write to a politician, be able to influence, be it, like Emily said, a simple like on a post that comes up, which kind of influences people's thought patterns. But I think that it's been proved over and over again that politicians choose the wrong, when apartheid was about, when the Iraq war was about, people coming out on the streets to make their voices heard and shouting and being able to change the rhetoric that's occurring, changed what occurred. And I think that's what we need to hope for, is that us being able to speak out for the Palestinians who do not have a voice in anywhere, because it's been undermined by media and other things that are out there. Us having a voice for them means that we will, in the future, change what the rhetoric is, and also help Palestine, be free, hopefully.
Thank you, Erim. Thank you for everything you do. Eminem.
Just thank you. Thanks for having us all. Thanks for giving us an opportunity to, discuss the only topic that there is currently, and to just to make sure that we are always all there for each other, wherever, whoever. As our good friend Egg says, it's all about love, and that's what it should be about.
Yeah, good old Egg. Absolutely, it's all about love. Thank you, Eminem. Thank you for all the wonderful things you do, all the positive posts that you post in this really really very challenging times that we live in, and keep all the good work up. My honourable friend Halil, I know you could say a lot about this topic, because I know that you're really...
Just don't be afraid to speak up. Just don't be afraid to speak up, because by you speaking up, you're giving them a voice to be heard by all the communities that are around the world, whether it be in the UK, whether it be in Cyprus, whether it be in Turkey, wherever. So keep sharing the journalists that I've posted within the comments. Educate your brothers and sisters, friends and family, your colleagues, but do this the correct way. And I'll give you an example of the way to do this. I don't know if anyone has been watching any interviews that have been happening on the social media, because I won't watch anything that the Western media will do. But when a Palestinian journalist puts across their views, they are educated. They are calm. and they put it across to the other person without any anger, without any being hurt, and they put it across. So please do this the same way as them. Take this as an inspiration and be just like them. They are so strong. They have no fear. They don't fear dying because they've lost everything anyway. So they don't fear anything. So do be exactly the same as these people. Share them, but share stuff correctly. Don't do it in anger. And I will be sharing my shop URL in the comments below if you wish to purchase any of the items. Again, none of the money will be going into my pocket. All the profits will be donated to Cyprus Islamic Association.
Thank you.
Again, thank you very much for organizing this thing, Hojam, because in all honesty, we need the community to hear this, not just because we're very similar, but because this is a human matter. This is innocent people.
Absolutely.
Where their lives are being taken away. And
Absolutely.
Thank you again, just allowing me to speak up on this matter.
I know it's also been one of your requests that we close this with a prayer, and we will close this with a prayer. And I'm going to also, once we close the prayer, we can play the tribute again to all our relatives and our bloodline that live in Palestine, those that we know and those that we've forgotten their names. May their names and may their memory be eternal. I just want to close it with a prayer, inshallah. One of the viewers did ask a question: what happens in Gaza and Palestine with orphan children? Now, this is one of the amazing things I find with the Palestinian people. Most Palestinian people, even if they're very poor, they actually take these kids in. I've been told this in Gaza, especially. They take these kids in and they raise them. They raise them like they're theirs.
On social media where people have asked whether they can adopt, but they basically, I think it goes into next of kin. So whether this be your uncle or your aunt or whatnot, so yeah.
So I want to share this very, very short story with you guys. I have a Palestinian cousin. He doesn't live very far from me. His grandmother came from Cyprus. He never saw his grandmother. His father actually never saw his mother. She died after giving birth to her son. And the man remarried. The family in Cyprus were never to know about their sister, Remzia. They never forgot her, but they never had a letter or any correspondence from her. And they thought that she'd forgotten them. Remzia died after giving birth, and the husband had remarried. And after he remarried, the Palestinian second wife raised him like her son. Years later, when the father died, the stepmother said to the child, I need to share something with you. I'm not your real mum. We've hid this from you. Your real mum was from Cyprus. And I think it's your duty to go and find your family. God works in mysterious ways, you know. He returned to Cyprus. He was actually an MP for the PLO. And he returned to Cyprus and he found his family in Cyprus and in London. And his son now lives in London. And we're very, very close with all his family members. And these are the stories that we need to really, you know, tell. This is part of our history. And we need to keep this part of our history really, really alive. Thank you for let me share that with you. So that also answers that the orphans, they will always have a good home, because it's an Islamic virtue that you look after the orphan and the widow. Allah hiç kimseyi anasız babasız bırakmasın. I say that in Turkish. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Elhamdülillahi Rabbil alemin. Ve salatu ve sellimu ve ala Resuluna ve nebiyina Muhammedin ve ala alihi ve ashabihi ecmain. Eşhedü en la ilahe illallah ve eşhedü enne Muhammeden Resulullah sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem. İnna Allah ve melaiketu yusalluna alen nebi ya eyyühellezina amenu sallu aleyhi ve sellimu teslima. As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Rasulullah. As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Habiballah. As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Sayyid al-awwalin wal-akhirin. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. All praises to you, Allah, the Lord of the universe, who has created us and made us into tribes and nations, that we may know each other, not that we may despise each other. O Allah, we send our blessings upon the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, his noble family and companions. May they all be blessed. And bless the Prophet as you blessed our forefather, Abraham, Ibrahim, and his family and companions. Send our blessings to Moses, who received divine revelation in Mount Sinai. Send our blessings upon Jesus, Isa bin Maryam, the son of the most sacred woman to walk on this earth. Send our blessings upon all the prophets and the saints and the martyrs. As we come in prayer, we pray for peace, Allah, to all of humanity, to all those who are suffering injustice, and those fleeing from conflicts and persecution, those living on the streets of this country, those homeless, those hungry throughout the world, those families trying to provide for their children. We ask you to spread the winds of peace across the world and bring unity to the children and all the descendants of our father Ibrahim. Allah, we think of all those oppressed in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Yemen, in Syria, in Ukraine, in India, in Burma. Bring their suffering, that you know their suffering, and bring peace to them. In the name of humanity, we ask you to grant our prayers. O Allah, the mercy, the Lord of the heavens and the earth, mercy to all of his creation. Look at us with love. Love all thy people you created, those who live in and those who have departed this world. This evening, as we pray, we especially ask you that you hold forever all those who are suffering in Gaza, all those who are suffering in the West Bank, all those who are suffering in the Holy Land, those who are scared by warfare, those children who have lost their parents, those children that have lost everything, that sleep on the streets in Rafah and in Khan Yunis, those who wait anxiously in refugee camps to hear news of their family members, those wounded and those disillusioned, those who are mourning their loved ones, those communities that have completely been diminished and suffered great losses. Remember us in our prayers, Allah. Remember those who have acted with kindness and compassion, people that have come from all faiths, from all religions, all walks of life, who've walked the streets of this country and other countries and asked for one thing, for a ceasefire, for peace. Those are the brave amongst your creation. Those are the comrades. Those are the ones who are steadfast in spreading salam, shalom, peace in this world. Bless those who after the war will work tirelessly to bring peace in this world. And as you remember them, remember us, Allah. Grant us peace in this time and a longing for the day when people of every language, race and colour and nation will be brought into the unity as the children of Ibrahim, the children of Abraham. My prayers to those in the Holy Land, those suffering, those in conflict, those with deep pain. We ask for that pain to be one of recovery. Amen. Thank you. Thank you for everybody who wanted to join in this evening. And thank you a lot to, big thanks to Eurogenge TV, the people behind the screen, the people who are bringing this this broadcast. Big thank you to our sister Gulay. Ertan, thank you. Erim, Emine, and Halil. Stay, watch, and hopefully we'll have peace, and then we can have another conversation about Palestine, but this time talking about peace in Palestine. And we'll finish with the tribute to all our family and loved ones, all our aunties and grandmothers. Some of them we've lost their names, but they'll always be in our hearts and our prayers. Amen. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today, 11th of November 2023, here in Gaza, in north of Gaza, in Jabalia city, we are preparing the hot meals for the refugees and the homeless in the schools who's lost their houses from the Israeli bombing through Jancio organization from Turkey and Kibris Islamic Association and Al-Hashimi Trust. Jazakumullahu kul khair wa barakallahu fikum. وتقبل الله منا ومنكم. Today, after we preparing the hot meals, we will distribute this hot meals, inshallah, for the refugees and the homeless in the schools in north of Gaza. جزاكم الله كل خير وتقبل الله منا ومنكم إن شاء الله.